Hi Flosstube. My name is Karen. My channel is Panhandle Stitcher because I am in the eastern panhandle of West Virginia. And this is Flosstube number 2. First, I'd like to thank everybody for watching and subscribing to my first video. Thank you for the very nice comments. I appreciate all the comments and the likes. I want to give a particular shout out to Jen at Stitch with Jen for the shout out she gave me. It was very, very nice of her to do. Today I'm going to show you a couple of whips, and I have some sampler whips that I thought I would show you. I have quite a few scattered around me here, so I think I'll go ahead and get started. First, I'll show you progress on a couple of whips that I shared last video. The first one is a piece that I'm stitching for Love Quilts USA. It is called A Touch of Class, and the designer is Dale Burdett, and it is from her book called The Eloquent Country Rose, which is this book right here. I'm pretty sure it's out of print. I bought this back in the 80s, and I doubt very seriously whether it's in print. You can probably get it on the secondary market somewhere. Anyway, I had hoped to finish this in February, but I don't know, I've been in a bit of a stitchy slump the past couple of weeks, so that didn't happen. I did get all the pink cross-stitching done on the roses, that big blob of thread there. I got all the cross-stitching done, and I've got most of the green finished. I did the stem and the leaf, and I've got, I think, a couple more leaves over here, and then it's back stitching because there's a lot of back stitching in the flowers, back stitching in the green. And I did a little bit of back stitching on a couple of the rose buds, so you can see what a difference the back stitching makes. At least I hope you can see it a little bit. So I'm hoping to get this finished in March. It's certainly doable. I just have to sit down and do it, which, you know, as you all know, sometimes it's easier said than done. You get in a stitchy slump, life gets in the way, you know, things happen. Doesn't always get done. So those are my roses. And I also made a little bit of progress on the Scottish Love Sampler. I showed you this one last week. This is the one, oh, the roses are stitched on 14 count white Aida with DMC floss. Sorry, the Scottish Love Sampler is this piece right here. I'm stitching it as our wedding sampler. I'm going to put our initials and the date down here in the cartouche. And the last time I showed it to you, I had a bit of the border done and also just part of the alphabet across the top. And since we were together last, I have finished the alphabet. Oh, wow, I'm really doing a good job here. Finished the alphabet and the little row of stitches just below it, and I've got a little bit more done on this border over here. You can see it a little bit. So this is stitched on 40 count white linen. I think it's maybe an antique white or a cream. It's a Zweigert linen. Very nice to stitch on. Our anniversary's in June. Whether I'll get it finished for June remains to be seen, but it's still a nice sampler to stitch on. I do enjoy it. Okay, those are my current whips. I had showed you in my last video, I've been stitching on the fox from the wildlife series. I think it's Cottage Garden Samplings. And I did stitch a little bit on that one. Didn't really do enough progress to make it worthwhile showing you because it's not really enough to see. I also showed you a couple of samplers the last video. Didn't put a single stitch in either of them, so I'm not even going to get those out. Okay, older whips. Now, samplers are one of my very favorite things to stitch. If I manage to keep doing videos, you'll probably see that and you'll figure that out. I have 2, 4, 6, about 7 or 8 to show you this afternoon. These are all whips of varying ages and varying stages of completion. And I'm not going to apologize for not having anything ironed, because I don't. I don't iron anything until I'm ready to frame it or finish it. I just don't, because I stitch mostly in hand, and I just don't want to put any heat on the fabric any more often than I have to. Okay, so the first sampler that I want to show you is one of my oldest whips, and this is from the Exemplar. It's called Elizabeth Timms 1730, and the colors in this, and I like the Ten Commandments motif, and the colors are just gorgeous. I love it. There is a ton of over 1 stitching in this. The alphabet on the tablets is all over 1. These borders down the side is over 1. I think this yellow tulip is over 1. Different flowers down here, a lot of over 1. Some of the small motifs up here at the top are over 1. A lot of over 1. And I bought this as a kit with the linen and the DMC floss. And the linen is 36 count. I have no idea what kind it is. I bought this. This is, like I said, this is an old whip. I probably started this, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, a long time. And shamefully, this at the top is all that I have gotten done. And there are some hoop marks on there. The over 1 on this is a little easier for me if I use a hoop. I'm stitching this with the called for DMCs that were in the kit, and I'm stitching the over 2 with 2 strands of thread, and the over 1 with 1 strand of thread, which is what the chart calls for. And this linen, normally I would, on 36 count, I would stitch with 1 over 2. But this linen, I don't know, it seems to be a little more of an open weave than a lot of the linens that you can get today. And so the 2 over 2 on the 36 doesn't really seem to be too difficult. So I'm hoping to get it out a little more often this year and maybe make a little more progress, because those colors, the colors just speak to me, and I just love this piece. It is so, so pretty. And I haven't checked any of these to see if you can still get them. Since this is from the Exemplar, my guess would be maybe. I don't know. You may have to go to the secondary market to find it. So that is Elizabeth Timms 1730. Okay, this next one is also one that I started a long time ago. It is from Historic Stitches. Oh, okay, I started it in July of 2013. And this is Sarah Hartley, 1827. The picture is, it's not the greatest picture. It's a little dark, but you can get an idea what it looks like. This has a lot of over 1 in it as well. Down here, the lettering is over 1. Parts of these flowers up here are over 1, and this border is, it's over 2. This alphabet up here is over 1. The border is over 2, but it's pretty repetitive. This is stitched on, I'm doing it on a piece of 36 count sand dune from Lakeside Linens, back in the day when you could actually get Lakeside Linens. Excuse me. And this one I'm stitching 1 over 2, and of course on the over 1 I'm using 1 thread as well. And this is my progress on Sarah. She's a pretty girl. And I've got, I haven't started any of the over 1 yet. Just wasn't quite equal to it. So this is my progress. I'd like to get her out and work a little bit more on her this year too. So that is Sarah Hartley, 1827. And that's Historic Stitches again. Don't know if she's still available. Okay, so that's Sarah. Okay, everything else is a little more recent. Probably started within the last 3 or 4 years, I would say. And the first one I want to show you is one of my absolute favorites. I bought this from Stitchy Box Samplers, and the name of the sampler is Sarah Davis, Clonmel 1824, and Clonmel is not her name. It's a town in Ireland where she lived. And this is the sampler, and guys, this border down here, or this band, is why I liked it so much and why I bought it. All these alphabets do not blow my skirt up. Stitching alphabets is not my favorite thing to do. And this blue band here, and this little pink band underneath it, eyelet stitches. Again, I like the way they look. They're not my favorite stitch to do, and they can get a little tedious. Let me see if you can show it a little bit better. But so that's a ton of eyelet stitches to do, and I actually had started those the last time I picked her up, and she is being stitched. I know I wrote it down on 40 count cottage stone from Color and Cotton. I think everything else that I have to show you is probably on 40 count, and I'm stitching all of these with DMC threads. I think this Sarah was charted for needlepoint silk, but there was a DMC conversion provided. And this is my progress on Sarah. And I'll try to get a little bit closer. I hope it'll focus so you can see that first eyelet letter. And eyelets over 40 count are a little tedious, but I do like the way it's turning out. And it's worth it. All these alphabets are worth it to get to this band down here because it is just so pretty. And again, this is 40 count linen from Color and Cotton. Love their linens. There goes the clock again. Sorry. Just got to live with it. At least we know about what time it is. Okay, next. This is from Hands Across the Sea. I love Hands Across the Sea. Their samplers are so pretty. I've stitched a couple. This is Jane Hearth, 1868. And normally, brightly colored samplers aren't my thing. But I just thought this was so pretty. This vase up here is unique. And I just wanted to stitch it because the colors just really caught my eye. Which, for me with a sampler, that's kind of unusual. And she is stitched on 40 count pear wood from Color and Cotton. Excuse me. And I'm using the DMC conversion. Hands Across the Sea always provides a DMC conversion, which is very nice. And I've actually got a pretty decent little bit of progress done on Jane. I've got the top of that big flower done, and I'm working my way down the border. And I love this butterfly. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to give you the bird. I love this butterfly here. Love the colors. And then down there, the star and the little, whatever that is, flower of some sort. Maybe a thistle. So that is Jane Hearth from Hands Across the Sea. Another big girl. And I'm folding and putting away mostly as I go along, just because I just don't want to get things all messed up and confused and get the wrong things in the wrong project bags. That would just stink. Okay, another one that I've just recently started is Mary Katherine Harris, 1873. I think a lot of people have been doing this. I know that Amanda, Alba Stitcher, did this on a piece of kind of a reddish pink fabric, and it was really, really pretty. I saw this on Michelle Mama Loves You GB on her Flosstube, and I just thought it was so cute because, you know, who doesn't like a sampler with a zebra on it? I mean, really, love me some zebras. And this is stitched on 40 count marzipan from Color and Cotton. And I am actually using Victorian motto flosses on this. And this is my progress. Not a whole lot. This band of diamonds here, that got a little tedious to stitch. But I'm really liking the way that she's turning out. And here are my flosses from Victorian motto. One is Something Wicked, and the other one, the white, is called 17th Century Old Lace. They're very close to the called for colors. And I started this, did I write down when I started her? I didn't, no. But it was probably last year, year before maybe. It hasn't been too long since I've started Mary Katherine. And it probably would not take long to finish her if I would just sit down and do it. But I do like her. I love that zebra. Okay, what else? Okay, this is one that I started, I think Michelle at Mama Loves You GB and Michelle at the Striped Rose started a stitch along on this piece, and I started it at the same time they did. Oh gosh, I didn't realize how pathetic my start was. This is from an old issue of Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly. And if I can find the cover, I can show you which one it is. Summer of 2011, SANQ. This is what the front cover looks like. And the sampler that I'm doing is the one that's on the cover. It is called 1864 EF Sampler. And that's what it looks like when it's done. And I just love the colors. I love the motifs. I love this cow down here. And I can show you what pitiful amount I have done on this. Is just that much. That's all. But I tell you what, these flowers are fiddly. It's not confetti, but it's like, you know, 4 or 5 stitches of a color, 4 or 5 stitches of another color, and then 4 or 5 stitches of the third color. So they're kind of fiddly to stitch, but it's going to be really, really pretty, I think, once I ever get it finished. And what was so cool about this sampler was pictured in an earlier issue of this magazine back whenever it was, 2011 sometime, I guess, 2010, 2011. And the article that it was pictured in was about something else, because I can remember just being terribly disappointed when I read the article, and there's this picture of this gorgeous sampler, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, where's the chart? Why are you showing this picture and you're not giving us the chart? And I guess that I was not the only one who felt that way, because they had a lot of people request that that sampler be charted, and so it was. And it was charted by Christy Schmitz and Vicky Piccolo Jennett. And I think Vicky Jennett, Needlework Press, has maybe released this as a chart. Not 100% sure. But I think I did see that. Okay, and this I think is the last one that I have. I just started this last year, maybe year before. This is from Lucy Beam. It's called Though He Seemeth Sleeping. And this is the chart. I think I saw this on, was it Lynette, Homesteading on the Home Front? Maybe that was stitching this, and of course I saw it, had to go buy it. The verse, oh boy, I don't know if I can read the verse on the model here. Dark the night and wild the wave, Christ the boat is keeping. Trust in him and Have No Fear, Though He Seemeth Sleeping. And it was stitched by Emily M. something that I can't read on this picture. But it was reproduced by Rebecca Noland of Lucy B. And that's the piece. I'm stitching it on 40 count. Warm Sienna, also from Color and Cotton. As you probably noticed, I'm quite a fan of their fabric. I'm in their fabric club. And I'm using the DMC conversion. And my start on this is kind of pitiful as well. Just a little bit of the border and a little bit of the alphabet. Because, you know how it is. You start something and then you see something new and shiny and, squirrel. And that's what I've got done. The white part of the lettering right over here is a little hard to see on the camera. It's a little clearer in real life than it is on the video. So I do want to get back to this one this year as well. How many times have I said that with these samplers? But they're all so pretty. I love stitching them, love working on them, and I want to get them finished. So anyway, so those are my sampler whips. Those are not my only whips. And maybe in a future video I'll show, well, probably in a future video I'll show some more. And I think that's about it. I do have a couple of purchases. I'm trying to not buy too much because, like a lot of you, I'm sure I have more than I'll stitch in 5 lifetimes. One thing that I did recently buy, and let me grab this right quick. I ordered a piece of Legacy linen. This is 37 count Russian tea cake, and I ordered it from 123 Stitch. And I ordered it for a project that has over 1 stitching. I think I can do over 1 on 37. 40 count and over 1, I've tried it, and I just wasn't happy with the way my stitches look. Probably if I practiced a little bit, they would look better. But, if I can do it on 36 or 37, it's still going to look nice. And this is what I thought that I would do on it. I purchased, when Arlene Cohen came out just a few weeks ago with her sampler Rosina Dizzery 1820. I thought that was so pretty, and I think it'll look really nice on the Russian tea cake. I've got some of the threads, so see if I can get a few of them on here. I'm not too sure about the 3033, how that's going to go on the Russian tea cake, or if it's going to get lost. I may switch that out, but you can see a little bit. I like this yellow, very pretty. But I think this will be perfect on this fabric, and I need to get it started. This is one of the many that I have kitted up waiting to start. And one of these days, maybe I actually will. And I did buy a couple of things on Etsy. And these are both from Stitchy Princess, Katherine, something that I can't pronounce. She is in Ukraine. And I did want to show her a little love because, Ukraine, we all know what's going on in Ukraine. It's heartbreaking, and it's just beyond. So I did purchase a couple of her charts last night. This one is called the Floral Fairy. Just a little fairy. I thought that would be cute for a Love Quilts square. You can stitch it in the called for colors. Maybe play around with the colors and do some different color combinations. Different hair on the fairy, different colors of her dress and the flowers. Maybe change up the skin tone a little bit. It'd be kind of fun to play with. And then I also bought her Magical Swamp, which has got the frog, I guess the Frog King. They're in the middle on the rock, and Frog King and these big, I think they're herons or cranes or whatever. Just just a very pretty design. So I picked that up last night. So anyway, and I guess that's all I have. So again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate, again, the nice comments. I appreciate the shout out. Appreciate everyone who subscribed. And I'll probably be back maybe in another month with another video, because as I said, I'm not a fast stitcher. I don't stitch fast enough to have enough to show you weekly or even bi-weekly. So probably once a month is going to be about my MO. So that's all I have. Peace and God bless. Bye-bye.